As you can see, I am back indoors. You could see on my last video I was kind of getting a little bit tired of growing outside with the changes in climate, not being able to control the humidity. It just wasn't working out for me. I may still go outside at some point again, but I really enjoy growing microgreens indoors. It works out a lot better for me. And that brings me up on a little bit of a topic that I want to talk about a little bit, which is what I consider to be the biggest challenge with growing and selling microgreens that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's actually a question I don't even ever get asked. Nobody even asks me about this important topic, and that would be consistency. So let's say you're selling to a store. It could be a big grocery store or even a small store. You need to have consistent product at least once a week. That's what I shoot for usually is once a week I'll go bring new product, and anything that's still on the shelves, take that off and replace it. Now, the reason that that's kind of a challenge is that means that at minimum every 7 days you need to have fresh product. It needs to be harvested and ready to go and all packaged up. And for me, where I do this on the side after working a full-time job, most of the time it's not a big deal, but sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge to make sure that you have product ready to go all the time. And I also sell to restaurants and a caterer, and I'm super small, but I always have to have this turnaround of product constantly. So you're always planting, you're always taking care of them, harvesting, packaging, and all that. So don't want to discourage you about it at all. I'm just letting you know that the biggest challenge is really making sure you have product ready to go. One of the huge advantages for me of growing indoors is that I'm right here. It's in my house, in a room. I'm actually using my office. I've moved out of the room I was in. And it allows me more time to be able to get to it. So it's a whole lot easier when I'm growing indoors. For one, say it's late at night and all of a sudden I remember, oh no, I didn't check on the microgreens when I got home from work, to water them. Well, it's not a big deal. If they're in a room in my house, I can just go check on and water them. I don't have to go outside in the dark or whatever. Also, if we want to watch some TV together as a family or something, I can know I've got to plant some microgreens or I've got to harvest some microgreens and say, you know what, I can do that after we're done watching our show or whatever. Come in my room and go ahead and plant or harvest, package, whatever I need to do. And it's not nearly as difficult as if it was outside in the greenhouse. It might be dark out. Another big thing I brought up in my last video was like humidity. Humidity is the absolute enemy of microgreens. They'll grow okay with it. You do have a more chance of having mold problems, but the real big problem is when you go to harvest, the microgreens are wet, and you can't package wet microgreens because they're just gonna rot in the package. Indoors, I don't have that problem. I have a dehumidifier running. I'm keeping it at 50% humidity all the time. It's actually very hot in here right now though, because it's been raining out. Sun's out right now, but it was raining out today. And say the dehumidifier is really running like crazy. And the dehumidifier puts out heat. So in the fall and winter, that's a good thing because it will actually heat up your room. But in the summertime in August, it's not a good thing. Right now, it is 88 degrees in here and 49% humidity. Now the good thing is this is a top question that's been coming up a lot lately about temperature, what temperature to grow your microgreens at. The good news is they are perfectly happy at 88 degrees. I have a fan going all the time. It's off for the video, so it's not noisy. I'm keeping the humidity low. It says 49% right now. I've had my dehumidifier set to 50%. And they love it. They've got no problem with the heat. They don't really care for the cold as much. They'll germinate slower, they'll grow slower. Anything below like 65 degrees, they slow down. but they'll grow just fine at anything above 55 or so. I target to be at least 65, and the upper bounds are as hard as it gets. Like, I don't really try to keep the temperature down too much. I just try to make sure there's a lot of air circulation. Certain crops don't really care for the heat that much. Pea shoots don't really like the heat, but they'll do just fine in here, even at 88. They'll typically grow a little bit slower for me. Things like amaranth loves the heat. The more heat, the better. That germinates fast. In the heat, a tray of amaranth will germinate within like 2 days if they're kept at like 88 degrees. But if they're at 65 degrees, they may take 4 days or so before you can uncover them. So the heat really isn't a problem. People ask about the temperature a lot, so I just want to throw that out there. As I mentioned in my last video, I have updated my course website a little bit. I'll put a link in the description for you guys to check that out. I broke off one of my a module from my big course, which is a fairly expensive, comprehensive course, and made a mini course of like just how to grow on soil. If you guys want to check that out, it's an inexpensive course at $25. I may put a coupon code to drop that down a little bit more for you guys if you're interested, but the link will be in the description if it's something you want to check out. Now, for growing indoors, the other huge benefit is lighting. I can control all the lighting. I have it set to, I think I have it set to 16 hours on. It might be 18 hours on, I'm not sure. I don't remember what I set the timer to, but 16 to 18 hours on is all you need. It's perfect. You could go 24 hours if you want, but the return on investment diminishes after about 16 hours on. So you don't need to set them for longer than that, but it's even all the time. The crops love it. They actually seem to prefer it to natural sunlight, at least in my case. In the Microgreens Palace, the sunlight's all coming in through the side. I don't have a lot of direct sunlight on them. And sometimes that's actually a bad thing, that sunlight can blast the side of the greenhouse and actually burn some crops, especially if you've just uncovered them. Don't have that problem growing indoors. It's consistent, just like the humidity. The same every time. I know exactly how they're going to grow because the lighting doesn't change. Now, what all these consistency things add up to, temperature, humidity, lighting, being able to get to them when I want to, and all that all adds up a lot to making it a lot easier to produce a consistent product. So I know exactly how long it's going to take for these to grow. I know exactly how much I'm going to get off of them. I know, what the quality of the crop's going to be. I know they're going to be dry when I harvest them. I know all that stuff in advance, and it's like that day in, day out. Does not change. Really, really simplifies the process. So I don't really want to discourage you guys from growing in greenhouses. I know it's done a lot on like commercial scales and such, but for me, my 3rd year doing it, I think it's been 3 years, and I don't love it. I just don't love growing in the greenhouse. I really love growing inside, where I can be with them whenever I want. I can work on my computer, mess around and plant a few trays if I want, harvest some trays, package them up, and always keep it going and have the product ready all the time and be really consistent with really consistent quality. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. Hit the bell if you want to get notifications on whenever I make new videos. You'll see I've got like over 100 videos on microgreens, so go ahead and check those all out. See if there's anything out there that you had questions about that maybe I've already answered in another video. Also, consider becoming a Patreon if you want. I give away free things to my Patreons. Things like seed planting cards to give you all kinds of tips, or exclusive videos and content. And I also have a seed club where I sometimes ship out free packages of seeds, different growing mediums or whatever, to my seed club Patreons. I've really slacked on shipping out stuff. It's been a time constraint for me, and I really need to get back on the ball with that. So I don't want to be making any promises to you if you become a seed club Patreon that you're going to be getting anything shipped right to you in the mail, but you will be getting something eventually. That's going to do it for this, guys. Thank you very much for watching.